I'm right here, boss man. I got this, yeah.
You will not win, cause I will not lose. Can't be touched, can't be stopped, can't be moved, can't be rocked, can't be shook. We hot. When will you came to get crunk, came to bring light, came to get started, came to get right. Turn down the music, turn up my mic. When will you
You know, it's been a serious week in the football business when Magoo is with us from a hotel room. Like, had to check in just to make sure that we got his thoughts on recent events. Also, yeah. I love that intro, the juke move intro. Like, it could basically just be a highlight reel of Michael Vick, Shady McCoy, Chris Johnson, and Reggie Bush, and it would still be amazing. Like, I think we have been lucky that we came up in a generation where we got to see some of the best jukers just break folks' ankles week in and week out.
So they're no longer naysayers. We're on to jukers now. I'm trying to keep up. There's a lot of change in the okay.
Juking and jiving.
Yeah, this is kind of odd. A impromptu Thursday night episode, which just goes into things have been a little wild. And yeah, I'm in a undisclosed location. I'm not actually in a hotel. I may or may not be in a janitorial closet somewhere in Flowery Branch.
Are you not? Are you sure you're not a tunnel?
Nope, no hat. But
I think you meant because you got a little bit of echo going on, but also.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely not in my normal place. There's nothing in this. Literally, there's nothing in this room. It's all hardwood and nothing on the walls. It's loud as shit.
Well, at least you were with us, which is more than we can say for most of the other guys who I sent out a bunch of invites for this, and glad to see everybody was that concerned with. It feels like there's a lot that's been going on. I mean, the national championship. If Mark was going to be on to talk about it, then we could do a show about that. But otherwise, it was sort of inconsequential for the rest of us in the group.
I mean, at this point, does the national championship even matter? Like, Michigan has wanted this so badly, and Michigan fans have wanted it so badly. And then within, 24, 48 hours, no one gives a shit anymore because you have the two biggest coaches in football history take the limelight away. Like, whoop. Like right now, Michigan fans, and I'm seeing it, and I'm sure it's not all. I can't speak to all of them. But I got to address the Michigan fans real quick, right off the top, because they're starting to piss me off. Like, congratulations on winning a natty. Now act like you've been, oh, well, I guess you can't. But there's a way to do it, and you're doing it wrong. Because now they're gloating that they are the ones who ended Nick Saban's career. And I can't allow this retardation level to exist without some level of response. No, the fuck you didn't.
Yeah, Michigan, pump the brakes, check your record against the SEC for the last decade, and then check back with us. But you are not the reason Nick Saban retired.
Not even close.
Everybody in the SEC knew that Saban was probably. We've known for the last 4 years that it was getting close. He wasn't going to keep doing this. You could tell that he was kind of starting to move in that direction. I thought he would stick around for another 2 years, but I mean, it doesn't surprise me that he decided to go out now.
Yeah, I thought he was going to live out the rest of his contract, which I think definitely had 2 years. I think 3 years left on it. I thought he was going to retire at 75. Now, maybe Michigan, had you beat Alabama in the 2020 Citrus Bowl, and then he retired, then yeah, you can say you ended that man's career. Maybe, 10 years short of his contract ending. But no, you did nothing of the sort. You did what a lot of teams have done, especially over the last 3 years, and that is beat Alabama. We did it. We did it in a natty. In fact, we beat Saban the last natty that he appeared in. So I could say Georgia in some way has ended his career. Oh, but Jim, we were the last ones to beat him. Yeah, congratulations. You're just the last one to beat up on an old man. The last 6 years, they have one natty in the last 6 years.
We were the first ones to beat him on opening day.
I mean, but Bama has one natty in the last 6 years, and that was the COVID year. And if Michigan fans don't want an asterisk put on this natty, well, I would love to see you fight the fight that the 2020 COVID year doesn't deserve a little bit of an asterisk. So one natty in 6 years, and they have triple the amounts of losses in the last 3 years as Georgia. And you're taking credit? Get the fuck out of here, Michigan. You're out of your fucking league, Donnie. Congratulations on the natty. Now shut the fuck up.
Like you said, act like you've been there. Oh, wait.
Yeah. I'm happy as fuck for Mark, and I'm happy for Michigan fans. They deserve it. But the ones claiming shit like ending the all-time great coach's run, no, sit the fuck down. So, yeah, I had to come on and at least get that out. Wherever else this episode goes, I have no idea. But that was the only thing I really want to get off my chest.
Well, I mean, by that metric, that would mean that New York Jets fans should be gloating because they ended Bill Belichick's career, right?
Yeah, and that would be equally as retarded.
Right.
Probably ended Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers was the last person to speak to Belichick on a football field as the Patriots coach. So I guess technically Aaron Rodgers can take claim that, since he was the last one to have contact with him on an NFL field, he ended his career. I mean, there's levels of lunacy.
And then the Pat McAfee show ended Aaron Rodgers' career.
I'm telling you, Pat McAfee is a coach killer. He ended Aaron Rodgers' career. He had Saban on this year. He's no longer coaching. He also had Arthur Smith on this year. He's out of a job. That Pat McAfee fella sounds like he's a little bit troublesome.
He's all hopped up on Adderall.
Gotta love the enthusiasm though. Speaking
I guess so.
Speaking of Arthur Smith and Bill Belichick, we've also got Pete Carroll is out. Has that officially been announced yet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, They had a press conference and everything, I think, yesterday.
Is he moving into a front office position? That's what I thought. That's what I said. When the rumors were first circulating, I was like, he's not leaving. He's gonna move into a front office position. Like, he's not gonna retire. He's just gonna step back and take a different role.
That's the Seahawks' plans. That's their desires on what they want to do with him. But Pete Carroll flat out said that, like, it wasn't his choice. It wasn't his decision. He competed for the coaching job. Like, I think he still has gas in the tank and he knows it, but he loves the Seahawks too much, I think, to go coach for somebody else. Now, what would be hilarious, and I'm sure we'll get into this, where all the jumping, coaches go, but it would be hilarious if Pete Carroll went back to New England to be the coach of the Patriots, which he was
and lose another
to
Super Bowl,
USC.
hopefully.
But to go back and finish his career in Belichick's shadow, because they're the same age, I think, 72 or something like that.
He coached them when the Packers, who they lose in that Super Bowl when Pete Carroll, he took them there, right? And they lost.
That I don't know. I just know that Carroll was the Patriots coach.
Was that Brett Favre's win, maybe?
Yeah.
Might have
Desmond
been.
Howard, Andre Rison.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Now,
that's right.
I have 3 devices in front of me with the internet on it, but I'm not going to look it up. I don't know who the coach was in 1998.
I'll be your Jamie.
I have internet now.
Congratulations.
I have fiber optic now, Jimmigan. I don't have to worry about if there's a cloud in the sky. I can actually get online.
I'm using a hotspot in a fucking run-down crack house, so if I'm spotty.
It's what you get.
You're remodeling your trap house?
No, I'm out of state. Literally, I'm out of state.
All right. So while Jay looks that up, any other thoughts on the national championship? I kind of feel like, we said enough on it. Washington was, I guess, a fine. Between Washington and Texas, it felt like whoever won the Michigan-Bama game was going to win the national championship. Like, Washington and Texas were just the other team that was going to be in it. I don't know. I didn't have a whole lot of thoughts on the game itself. I was really hoping for the Bama-Texas, rematch. I think that would have been a lot more. That would have had a lot more of a national appeal. That would have been more of a big time game that probably would have gotten more eyeballs. Not that the national championship didn't do well. I think ratings wise it did incredibly well. It just wasn't super engaging for me. Like, I kind of watched it offhandedly and half-ass paid attention to it. If it had been Texas Bama, I'd have been locked in and I'd have watched the whole thing and really been intent on it. But I don't know, the Michigan Washington that was just didn't have the panache for me. But otherwise it was a fine game, and it's a national championship game. It happened.
Yeah. I said it in the group chat. I was like, wow, these TCU looks awfully funny in these Washington unis, because that's what it was. They couldn't connect on a pass. I know people were saying, like the Josh Pates of the world and all the other commenters were like, people that are saying that Washington is another TCU is just dead wrong. And I'm like, why? And they're like, this team's loaded with talent. So was TCU. Their running back went into the NFL. They had receivers that were NFL quality. Their quarterback, I'm pretty sure, got drafted. Yeah, sure, he's lost on a depth chart somewhere, but that doesn't matter. They're no different than TCU. The only difference is they didn't play a UGA caliber team. They played a Michigan team that is just stronger up front. They'll beat the shit out of you and just pound you into the ground, and they have more depth. I was hoping and I wanted Washington to win, and I told all my friends, yeah, I think Washington's going to win because that's what I wanted. But in the back of my head, I'm like, Michigan's a better team. And to go back on what would have been the most preferred matchup, yeah, either Bama Texas rematch, I think is what they would have really have loved. But Bama Texas would have been, or Michigan Texas would
I
have
wanted
been
that
a
one.
phenomenal natty. That would have taken me back to the 90s, like when I was a kid watching college. But instead, we got Washington, which nobody outside of the Pacific Northwest gives a shit about.
Yeah, like
You
my
know.
boss. He's a Seahawks and Washington fan. So that was a fucking fun week.
Because most
And,
people
like-
from the Pacific Northwest, they're Oregon fans, they're Oregon State fans, hell, they're Washington State fans. But Washington isn't like any juggernaut. You know, they're not like a resurrected team from the past. No, Oregon would be because they've made it to the Natty. They've been in the
Yeah.
playoff. They've had flashes over the last 15 years. But Washington's been like the who the fuck is that team?
Well,
Right.
he had Seattle Sports Talk Radio on, and like, dude, you would have thought they thought Penix, whatever his name is, was like the second coming of John Elway. The way they talked about him after they beat Texas.
I mean, what was remarkable was how good he played at certain points throughout the season compared to how absolute dog shit he played in the Natty. Like now, I don't want him coming to the Falcons, which we need a quarterback, and Penix would probably be better than Ritter. But I don't know. After I saw just his composure, I mean, the dude threw it 50 times and didn't even complete 30 passes in the Natty. I don't want that anywhere near my. Hey, we already got that at home. Nah, I'm out.
So that'll give us some material and content to get to as we lead up to the draft here in a couple months after we get through the NCAA tournament, which me and Mark will cover, I'm sure, and maybe some other folks will jump in on that this year, but definitely me and Mark will get that. What you got here, Jay?
Everybody, that's what I'm talking about, guys. You made a great effort so far. Let's just keep it up.
That's right. We can't have anyone freak out there, okay? We've got to keep our composure. We've come too far. There's too much to lose. We've got to keep our
Is this
composure.
Alabama's locker room right now?
Hey, he's also crimson red.
Yeah.
So
that is-
talking about Penix and the Falcons quarterback situation, that'll give us something to build on as we get closer to the draft here in a month or so. What y'all think of before we get into, we'll kind of get back around to all of the coaching carousel and craziness that's going on. Let's talk about some games very briefly. What y'all think about the final weekend of the NFL? I meant to find it and cue it up where I said that because they hate me, that the Packers will finish second in the division and squeak into the playoffs and just crush my soul. And here we are.
I was thinking about you the whole time. I'm here for you, bro.
Although I said they would squeak into the playoff, or they would finish second in the division, pick in like the high teens, low 20s, and take an inside linebacker from some Big Ten school. Instead, I'm now convinced they will take there's been a fact check on this that he's not actually going to be the first white corner taken in the first round. There was some dude that was taken in like 1968 when black people weren't even allowed to play football. But whatever, like that doesn't count. Isn't it amazing when there were only black people or only white people who played football and they still wouldn't take a white corner in the first round? Like that's how you know you're doomed. So they're going to take the white dude from.
Well, if it was the
from
NFL,
Iowa.
they also didn't have the forward pass then. Didn't the AFL bring that in?
So there wasn't even a reason to draft corners. You didn't. So
We're just an extra spot, but
Yeah, we're
yeah,
going to run 6 linebackers.
So yeah,
I'm just glad the Packers kept the Saints out of the playoffs. Sorry that screws you and your draft order or whatever, but you already knew who they were going to draft regardless of you going to the playoffs or not. Thank you for keeping the Saints out. That's the only thing I want.
It did make for some entertaining football watching because that's all I watched was the NFC games. Well, I watched the Titans knock the Jaguars out and keep the Jaguars out of the playoffs, which that was pretty cool. And then after that,
for a team to start 8-3 and have like a 96% chance of going to the playoffs and possibly getting the number 1 seed to missing the playoffs, that is some Falcons level fucking collapse. Respect, Jacksonville. Respect.
So, what does that say about or for Trevor Lawrence? Like, I mean, they kind of give him a pass on that first year, the Urban Meyer year, but like coming off of last year where he had all of that momentum, seemed like they were getting it together to start as hot as they did and to look as good as they did, and then to just fall apart. And like he didn't. I don't know if either of y'all watched that Titans Jaguars game. He did not look good at all. Like not at all. Like holy shit, bad. He and Ryan Tannehill were in stiff competition for who was playing worse as quarterback in that game, and I gotta say, like Trevor Lawrence might have been a little bit worse than Tannehill overall. Like
it's a lot of pressure living in the shadow of Mark Brunell and Byron Leftwich in their legacy.
It is.
And Blake Bortles. I mean, that's a hell of a guy to have to follow.
Well, maybe it just goes to show that quarterbacks out of Clemson ain't all that. I mean, Deshaun Watson, yeah, he was decent. And then, off the field stuff. Trevor Lawrence, young Fabio, maybe he just doesn't have it.
Deshaun Watson ended up getting replaced by Joe Flacco. He didn't get replaced. He got hurt, and then Joe Flacco came in and carried them to the playoffs like in commanding fashion over those last like 3 or 4 weeks. So,
do you guys want to do a David Letterman bit, like the top 10 greatest Clemson quarterbacks of all time?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, number 10 played 94 to 97. Nealon Green.
Oh, okay. Who the fuck?
Number 9 in the 80s, Rodney Williams. I don't think any of these
like a guy that changes my oil.
Yeah. Number 8, Colin Harper. He was there for
sounds like a guy that checks my oil.
Oh, I kind of remember this guy, Woody Dantzler. You guys remember that cat?
Never heard of him.
I grew up.
Dancer? What?
What's that? Number 6, Homer Jordan. Then we got Whitehurst. You guys remember that cat?
Yeah.
I have hung out with that guy at my local sports bar before. That guy rules. Taj Boyd, Steve Fuller, number 2, Trevor Lawrence, and then number 1, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. Just a murderer's row.
We might talk about it. Actually join the show, Goon.
Yeah. We were just waiting for you to show up.
You know you want to come on and gloat.
Josh is going to blame it on 2 weeks of playoffs instead of 1, and
when everybody rests their starters.
See, I like that though because it adds a certain level of like you got to be paying attention to who's going to be playing, who's not going to be playing. You got to be hitting that waiver wire, juggling your lineup. Like it shows that you actually give a shit and that you know how to manage a team, not just that you got lucky and you had the best players in the league and you got to ride them to a victory. Like you got to actually prove you know how to manage a team.
You really are an agent of chaos, aren't you?
I am. I want the most chaotic ending possible. And
I mean, hell, I dropped Christian. I dropped Christian McCaffrey week 18, and I was expecting people to be like, Jim, what the fuck are you doing? You can't do that.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, McCaffrey's out. He's not playing. This is a good move. That's what you got to do. You got to be willing to because this
Bryce Young was still the only best quarterback available for me.
This ain't a keeper league. You got to decide what do you want to do.
Yeah, and I was going up against Nutter, who stopped paying attention a month ago. And so there was really no reason for me to do it, but I was like, no, I want the highest fucking score possible.
Yeah, Stephanie didn't play for the last 4 weeks, and she still managed to beat Dak. I kind of feel bad for Dak, although I don't think he was playing either.
Well, he gets to print himself another trophy, so...
I think he can just keep the one he's got.
He's got 2 now.
Probably just put like a tally mark next to it.
Yeah, Goon, I'm gonna need your address. I'll go over to Phil's house and collect the championship trophy and mail it to you. And we'll pass that bitch around.
Yeah,
If,
congratulations, Goon, for winning.
it has been living on a shelf next to a super rare edition of Mein Kampf. So just like it's been well stored. I'll put it that way.
Is that behind glass? I mean, being in that company.
Maybe.
It's behind a wooden door.
But those don't seal out all the dust.
So anyway, what else do we have on the final week?
Well, Miami, Buffalo. Miami
Yeah.
played themselves right into getting their ass beat in frigid ass freezing Kansas City, even though they were like the belle of the ball all season until the final month. All of a sudden, Waddle goes out and their offense falls apart. Fucking hilarious. Sorry though, but hilarious.
Yeah, the only time we play good in cold weather on the road is if we're trying to take a game off of the Patriots at the end of the season. It doesn't matter.
I mean, it bums me out because I want to see that team. I would much rather see the Dolphins represent the AFC in the Super Bowl because they're just that much more exciting with all the weapons. They're like the greatest show on turf.
Yeah.
Until the games matter, and then they are just the greatest show that was, and it bums me out. As somebody that has no hope of my team sniffing a Super Bowl in the next decade, I would like to just be entertained. And I'm sorry, the Bills don't entertain me. The Chiefs aren't entertaining this year. They look like a 40-plus men's softball team after work out there without even stretching, trying to fuck a football. But Miami has promise, and I just got a feeling they're gonna go into Kansas City and get the doors blown off of them because the weather ain't gonna be Miami like, and they let Buffalo come in. Buffalo was 6-6 for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
How the fuck did they win the division? Like they went 6-1 to close out the year or something like that.
Yeah,
But
I remember talking about it on one night when we were watching games on Alan Mosley's Discord, and it was like, all right, so if at this point in the season, it's like Buffalo's looking like they've got like outside looking in. It's like if they happen to win this game against like 5 of the best teams in the league, then there's an outside shot they might still make the playoffs. And holy fuck, if they didn't come through and win every single one of those games, and which
I mean, they pulled a 2022 Dolphins because the Dolphins, like, they started off promising. Tua got the concussion, then they lost a bunch of games, and then they ended up having a winning streak and like limped into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and like the Bills were my Super Bowl pick for the AFC at the beginning of the season. I thought they would be a lot better, and they started kind of shaky, and they also had a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the ball early on in the season, and that defense as they hit their stride and came into that run to end the season, that defense really came around and is kind of what because like the Dolphins game, they had 3 turnovers in the red zone. Like Josh Allen, for as brilliant of a player as he is also almost as much of a liability at times. Like that gunslinger mantra or mentality is it can be kind of damning, especially with the times like we're not talking about 3rd and 15 on the 45-yard line. Like this is red zone, 1st, 2nd down and manageable, and he's throwing bad picks and turning the ball over. Like you got to protect the football, and he does not do that at all.
Yeah, what's sad right now is that there's a lot of teams in the playoffs that have been playing a lot of bad ball. Like
the Eagles
Chiefs.
completely fell apart at the end of the season. I mean, just
the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the
Steelers,
Eagles,
Rams.
Steelers in the playoffs. Holy shit!
Yeah, they made
the Rams are actually. The Rams are actually coming on strong. I'd say they're playing at they're playing their best ball at the perfect time. I'd say they're on the opposite end. Even without Cooper, they got Nakua, Atwell, Kyrian Williams is like the number 4 rusher in the league, and he missed, I think, 4 games. No, they're fine. They're
Ladybugs.
doing well. Detroit has been playing shitty ball. Like, you can throw on them. Their defense, Goon was right a month or 2 ago when I was praising the Detroit defense, thinking that, yeah, they had a bad game, but they still got it. No, they can get beat, and I think they will get beat, which we'll get into that later. But there's a lot of playoff teams that are, I don't know, just overall the NFL, I'm not that impressed. The Ravens, the Browns, and the Texans I think are the only 3 teams I can think of right now that I'm actually impressed with. And the Ravens are the only ones that I would actually, and the Ravens are the only ones I would actually say I think could and likely will win the whole thing.
I say Dallas is strong, but Dallas went through spells during the season where they kind of looked like
lost to the Cardinals.
Yeah, they looked like the NFC version of Miami there for a while. Like they would come out, and if it was a team that they should beat, they would beat the brakes off of them. And if it was a team that was even remotely good, they would get smacked. They pulled it together. They started to really look better towards the end of the season, but they have shown those flashes of they are very beatable. Green Bay is the youngest team ever to make the playoffs. Like, this was not the year to make the playoffs. This was the year to be bad and get a top 5 draft pick, and they didn't do that. So here we go. Like, I don't have any expectations out of them in the first round, other than like, hey, we're just happy to be here.
Hey, maybe they'll go far enough so you get like a later draft pick. You might be that lucky.
God, then we'll get a defensive tackle instead of a linebacker.
A white one.
It's God. Then y'all get to watch.
I don't even know if there is
y'all get to watch me.
I don't even know if there is
over the first round.
I love how we're all frustrated with our teams for like different reasons.
Yeah. I mean, I'm actually quite hopeful. I was ecstatic when the Saints were doing what they did to my Falcons. I was like, yes. I forgot who it was in the group chat that I think it was you, Justin. It was like, I'm sorry, Jim. And I was like, why? This is the best thing they could have possibly done. I wanted the Saints to drop 60 on us, but they were too much of bitches to do it. I don't know why everybody's complaining about how that game ended. I mean, was it Bush League? Absolutely.
Jameis Winston thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he audible to get that guy a touchdown? So
Desmond Ridder threw an inexcusable interception earlier in the game, which is his fucking calling card. And so instead of just leaving him in there, because what's the point? It's the last game of the year in a season that you're not going to the playoffs. They just left him in, or they took him out, and they put in our 3rd-string quarterback, who also threw a "what the fuck are you doing" pick to Tyrann Mathieu, whose old-ass legs teetered out at the 1-yard line because our offensive lineman chased him down and fucking tackled him, which was hilarious. Now, they could have just downed the ball, but internally I was like, no, score more points. I need it to be, without a doubt, that quarterback and coach doesn't even get on the flight. And so Jameis Winston goes in there, does an audible, eats that W, hands the ball off to Williams or whatever his name is, Jamal Williams, to get a touchdown. And everybody's pissed about it. I'm like, okay, was it Bush League? Absolutely. But you got to look at the characters that play. It's the Saints. They are Bush League. So it's they lived up to their identity. I don't know why anybody's surprised by this. I wish they would have done it. I wish that after that touchdown that they would have kicked an onside kick and had their fucking hands team out there. But they didn't have the balls because they were like, well, I guess this is enough. Go fuck yourselves. You don't know how to stick it to a rival, Saints. You need to work harder at that. Bunch of bitches.
Is it just me, or did the Dolphins have like 2 of the most extreme different sides of the coin this year, where we beat the Broncos 70-20, and then we lost 56-19 to the Ravens?
Yeah. Living dangerously down there in Miami.
It's all those monsters at the mall. You got to be careful.
I need to recruit some of them to play defense for y'all.
I'm sure they could bat down passes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the reason I said sorry is because you at least came into that game with a chance that if Tampa loses and you beat the Saints, you can go to the playoffs, and then what? Then you get to be in the same position that I'm in. And
that would have made my preseason prediction correct, but at what cost? We keep our shit head coach.
that's how I
We
feel.
think that there's a reason to hype up the quarterback for yet another year. It would have been a continuation of the shit show that has followed 28-3 for another 3 years. I'm glad that it didn't go that way. I would have been furious if we had won the playoffs or won the game. Tampa lost and we made it into the playoffs. I would have laughed at both New Orleans and Tampa because obviously, naturally. But internally, I would have been extremely upset. I'm so happy we lost. The Buccaneers fucking won the division without scoring a touchdown. I mean, perfection.
Yeah.
And now we're looking for a new coach and a new quarterback. I couldn't.
NFC South was easily the worst division in football this year. Like somebody had to win it, and I mean, whew.
Somehow it was better than the AFC South.
I mean, Houston.
I mean, outstanding Houston. Yeah,
Houston finished strong. They looked pretty good. Indy had a good season. I mean, they were not terrible. They played pretty well. Jacksonville, started really hot and then petered out. And the Titans, for as bad as the Titans finished, they were mostly competitive for a lot of their games. Like, I don't know that there were a lot of Titans games that were just absolute blowouts. Like, they were.
Maybe I'm just being brainwashed by the Nashville talk radio because, like, you asked, like, they're some of the worst fans ever. They like how they shit on their own team and everything.
The Titans were competitive. They were a fine team. They just didn't they're missing major pieces on the offensive line. And for a team that is built to be run first, to have that bad of an offensive line, that's not gonna work out. Like their defense wasn't terrible. When they could get things going, their offense wasn't just completely abysmal, but they never could get both things going at the same time in the same game. So, it was like the AFC South ended up not being a horrible division. There was so much mediocrity early in the season that the final records don't look as good as what the teams were looking as the season wound down. I guess is kind of, I watched way too much AFC South this year. But that's the hazard of living in fucking Titans Colts territory, like right in between. I was gonna get either a Titans or a Colts game every single week.
Did they ever do the blackout?
So I watched way more AFC South than I probably would have liked to, but I mean, wasn't bad. I am definitely not a classic Colts fan. I had a lot of fun at the Colts game that I went to, but which was also against the Titans, of all things. But I'm not a big Colts fan. Were there any other games of consequence over the weekend before we start talking about the first round of the playoffs?
Let's see. Well, Denver did the funniest thing possible, and that was sit Russell Wilson and then actually make fans think that there's a chance that he's going to be their quarterback next year. That's right. Sean Payton is destroying your team from within, and I couldn't be happier because fuck that guy. Only because of his ties to New Orleans. That's it. My allegiances are solid and strong, and they do not waver, nor do they forget, which is also why we might get onto this later. Bill Belichick can never be a Falcons coach.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Okay, sorry.
Why do you think I take so much
joy
in
myself
in the Belichick and the Saban thing?
Well, yeah, two of the most evil men in sports have finally. Well, one ended his career. The other one is going to continue his reign of terror somewhere else.
Well, yeah, but like I got Saban as a Dolphins fan and as a Longhorns fan. You know, his season coaching, and then you know, that year we lost to him in the championship when Colt McCoy's dad decided to make the coaching decision and sit Colt for the national championship. And then obviously Belichick, because I'm a Dolphins fan.
Yeah,
Those boosters in Texas, they have a lot of power and pull.
which is why they're going to keep Sarkisian and not let him go to Tuscaloosa. Old Bama man is down bad. I don't know who they're going to end up.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay, all right.
Let's-
I don't know
let's
what
get
part of
these-
the show we're in. Sorry.
Let's get these games out of the way first.
You need to put we need cards on there to know what chapter of the show we're in.
We gotta get
Does,
these games
Gibbs-
out of the way first.
Does Gibbs Me Dat have anything he wants to add to the discussion?
Lyle is a.
Go Saints.
I was gonna say Lyle's a big Saints fan, so he's just been hanging on,
well.
waiting.
Do I know
Well,
Lyle?
then he should.
Well,
no, probably not.
Jay, you have had a lengthy conversation with him, but I believe you were probably too inebriated to remember
Oh,
much of it.
Alan. Hey, dude. What's up, Discord? Nice to talk. Nice to see you, I guess.
That
Well,
was
yeah.
the best.
Then
That
he
was
should-
the best part of the finale weekend was listening to Josh talk in Alan's Discord about the games, just completely shit-faced, hammered, and make very little sense for a good portion of it. While I'm at work, like that, you kept me entertained most of the night. I appreciate it.
Oh, I've been there, Jay. Don't you dare apologize. Don't you ever change.
Jim has also kept me entertained on many a night. So
Uh-huh. Yeah, not sorry, out of town, nothing but water up here. So
poor
I'll just
guy.
keep my rantings and ravings as the only source of entertainment.
That water's wicked smart.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Saturday, we've got Cleveland and Houston.
All the old script writers are up to it real big this weekend.
Yeah, did
You
you
got
see
the
the thing?
team. Yeah, the team that had Deshaun Watson versus the team that has Deshaun Watson. No
They're
one's going
also
to see
the
Deshaun
two youngest
Watson.
teams, technically.
The Browns? Even with Flacco averaged in there?
Well, I'm talking about like 99 and 2001. Not
Oh,
age.
well,
Yeah,
technically.
sorry.
Oh,
You guys look at the
But
age
even
of
at
the
that-
players. I'm just looking at franchise history.
Yeah, but even at that, I can't say the Browns. I take them back to when Jim Brown was there. Like, yeah, sure, they left. They went to Baltimore. There was there even a full year of no football in Cleveland? I don't even remember because it felt
Yeah.
like it was like
I think the
they
Ravens
moved
played
out,
their-
but then
the Ravens played their inaugural season in 95 or 96, I believe.
yeah. So that to me, that's like a strike year or a lockout year or whatever. We don't count that. The Browns have
Oh,
always
they-
been there. They've been there since the 50s or whatever.
And
I
the
mean,
same with Houston. Like they left Houston and went to Nashville, but then within a couple years there was a team in Houston again. So it's yeah.
But I think if the
technically-
Houston Oilers came back and they were playing in the same stadium, I would say, okay, well, that's just a little blip. But no, it's a completely different ownership and building and team name. And like they didn't carry over any. I don't even know if the Oilers had traditions, but if they did, Texans didn't keep them alive.
Yeah. They were owned by an oil tycoon, wore a cowboy hat, and you had Earl Campbell.
What else do you need?
Yeah, and Jerry Glanville as a coach for a bit before he came to Atlanta and made us fucking badass for 1 year.
Was that in wait, what year was that in the 90s?
Yeah, like 91. That was the too legit to quit year.
Oh, was
And,
did you guys have
Deion,
dude with the big arm? Gosh, I'm trying to remember now.
Chris Miller?
Oh, was it Miller? Who am I thinking of
Mhm.
that you guys had that was like a number he wore number 4? He played
Brett
for
Favre?
the No, oh yeah, touche. Great showing in his opening. But no, you guys had that one dude that I think ended up winning or playing for the Colts, and he like famously threw that Hail Mary that sent the Steelers to the Super Bowl to lose to the Cowboys. Jeff George? Did you guys have Jeff George?
Yes.
Okay, that's what
Yeah,
I'm thinking
he
of.
came-
Number 3.
He came
Number
to he came to Atlanta after the Indy stint.
Oh,
I think
okay.
he ended his career in Atlanta. We also had Steve DeBerg in his 18th year in the league. That was a real fun year.
Seasoned vet.
Man.
All
Anyway,
right.
what were we talking about? Oh, yeah, Cleveland, Houston.
Browns Texans. Okay, so the Texans lose Nick Chubb, and looks like that might be it for them. And then Jerome Ford steps up and like just totes the rock. Kind of, they don't really miss a beat where that goes. And then Deshaun Watson kind of is looking good. Deshaun Watson gets hurt. Who was the next guy? Like he came in and he won that first game, and then he very clearly was not good in that game. And then they
one of those black backup quarterbacks that are all interchangeable, like Jacoby Brissett or Tyler, what's his nuts. But I think they had the Dorian Robinson kid from UCLA.
That's the one. So anyway,
Okay.
he lasted for all of about a week and a half and was clearly not cut out for it. And then they pulled Joe Flacco out of almost retirement and find some Flacco magic. Can the Browns keep up the next man up magic that they've seemed to capture this year? Or is Houston good enough with C.J. Stroud in his first year to take them down?
Where's the game being played?
It is in Houston.
Damn. Okay, now it's actually going to be a game. I was going to say, if it was in Cleveland, give me the Browns. I'm pulling for a Flacco versus Ravens in the AFC Championship, so give me the Browns regardless. But the Texans had to hold out until the Colts and Gardner Minshew throwing a terrible pass to the backup running back to win that game. So the Texans, even though they've, I think, outperformed all expectations, I think that like making the playoffs is as far as they go. Give me the Browns.
The odds on the game is Cleveland -2. I could see it going either way, but I'm kind of rooting for Flacco because wasn't he like basically coaching Pop Warner this year? And then he gets a phone call. So
yeah, I want Joe Flacco to go up against the Baltimore Ravens.
Joe Sixpack.
I think the big difference in this game is Houston's defense is hit and miss, whereas that Browns defense is
tough.
Fucking legit. Like that is the defense is the reason that they're as good as they are. Like it's the reason that the offensive side can just play next man up and still be fine because that defense can carry them. And I think Houston is going to get rung up whenever that defense comes out there and just starts punching folks in the mouth. Like giving the Browns a chance at a playoff berth and to come out and get a first round upset on the road. Like I think that defense is just chomping at the bit to go hit everybody.
And not to mention the off the field kind of not talked about, but could become a factor in the game for the Texans if their head coach, D'Amico Ryans, ends up getting a phone call from Tuscaloosa and he goes, "Oh, I can make 3 times as much as an Alabama head coach at my alma mater than I am as an NFL coach." He's currently making $4 million as the Texans head coach. He can make triple that if he takes the Alabama job. So if that phone call is happening right now, and if he's maybe taking a little side trip through Tuscaloosa back to Houston, is he going to be present? Is he going to give a shit? Now, I know it's the Browns, and they are historically like the Falcons, where you give them something nice, they will not know what to do with it. They will throw it on the floor and ruin it, and then make everyone question how they even got there. But the Texans are a young, inexperienced team. I don't know, just something to keep an eye on.
Wow, you going to jump in on this? This is where we pick games. He's still muted. We will move on to the next one. He can. There he is.
No, he just unmuted.
What's up now?
Who you got between Cleveland and Houston?
Cleveland.
Well done. All right, moving on. We got Miami and Kansas City. This one's probably going to break Jay's heart, but
I've already
Oh,
said
I'm
who
a
I thought was
realist.
going to win it.
I'm a realist. Yeah.
This game is set up perfectly for Andy Reid to just drop his gun right on a Dolphins nut sack. That's not even a phrase. But the Chiefs, I think they've stumbled their way into the playoffs, and now they're going to flip a switch. Taylor Swift, they're going to keep her hidden, locked in a
Popcorn vending machine.
in like the steam room, and just be like, stay there, don't show yourself. We were doing fine before you got here. We need Kelsey fully locked in, and I just think the Chiefs are going to find a way to find some old magic because they don't lose at home in the playoffs unless they're playing the Bengals. But the Bengals aren't in the playoffs, so give me the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Yeah,
It hurts, but yeah.
I've said it several times throughout the year. The Dolphins seem to beat up on the teams that they should, and whenever they face a team that's actually good, especially if the team has a good defense, they cannot seem to solve for that good, especially if it's a defense that likes to like punch you in the mouth. And Kansas City still has that on the defensive side of the ball. Like their offense has looked kind of pedestrian at times this year, but it hasn't been. They haven't lost games because of their defense. I don't think like their defense is still pretty go after it. So I think that'll be the difference in the game. Again, defense wins championships, as they say. Magoo, I had to pop over to X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it and drop that in there. Drop his gun right on the Dolphins' nutsack. That's quote of the year. Wow, who you got? Dolphins, Chiefs.
Miami.
Woo, there it is.
I like it. I want Miami to win. I just know that the teams that I want to win seem to not. So
Yeah, that one's kind of more of a want.
Let's see.
yeah, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm fucking tired of Kansas City. They're the new England, and I'm already tired of their reign. Give me.
It's not even
I
the
want
Chiefs.
fresh
I'm
blood.
worried. I'm just sick of Kermit the Frog that they got back there with his broccoli hair.
But bro,
all of his crybaby sessions this year, like, oh my gosh, dude, grow up here.
Such a whiny little bitch. Yeah.
All right, that takes us to
next game.
Yeah, we get a little Sunday action. First game of the day will be the Steelers and the Bills.
In
And this
Buffalo.
will be it's Steelers at the Bills. So
This is also like one of the biggest spreads, isn't it, of the week?
probably, yeah.
Yes, I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, Bills are favored by 10 right now. I think
Yeah,
I think I'd take the 10. Honestly. The Steelers have no business being in the playoffs. Like, how in the hell is it even possible that they happen to be the 7th best team in the AFC? Like, what the fuck?
It's because Burrow got hurt in training camp and the Bengals have been down all year because of it. That's the only reason why the Steelers are where they are.
There's
in
also
my
just been
opinion, because
a lot of mediocre football, like you were saying earlier.
I mean, just think of I've heard the number. I think it's like 54 different quarterbacks have started this year or some shit like that. It's insane. And they're on Mason Rudolph. Are you telling me? Even Steelers fans are like, yeah, it's not happening. Mason Rudolph is not going to go up to Buffalo in January and win a road playoff game. It ain't happening. If it does happen, then football's fucking broken.
Yes.
Well, I guess the goes to Jim Kelly prevails here. I got to pick the Bills.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for like any excuse to even think this might be a competitive game, and I'm just kind of going through the numbers, and Man,
Now,
the
if it
Steelers
was
are just unimpressive all across the
if it
board.
was the Bills from 6 weeks ago, I'd say this is going to be an interesting game. The Steelers might pull one out. But ever since Joe Brady has taken over as OC in Buffalo, they've won 6 out of their last 7 or 5 out of their last 6 or something like that. Like, they've completely turned it around. And I don't see any reason why that's going to change now. Now, it's funny because they immediately got away from Stephon Diggs because they were a literal one-trick pony. And they have games where Gabe Davis gets thrown at 0 times. Stephon will get 1 target, and then they still win by 2 scores because they've now been forced to become a more well-rounded offense. Even though, yeah, Josh Allen's still running the ball fucking 14 times for no reason. I don't know if anyone's told him, but he's white. He's white as shit. I don't know why he runs like as many times. It's stop running. You have running backs for that, and you also have 2 premier tight ends. I don't know why one will get 4 catches and the other one is just a fucking dust collector on the sidelines. But they have a better offense. They have better tools on their offense, and they've only been like a 1 or 2 person offense all year until Joe Brady finally said, "Hey guys, you're paying all these other guys too, right? Let's use them." But no, yeah, give me Buffalo by 17. I think they're going to demolish.
I think the only way Pittsburgh wins is if like Rudolph goes down a la Drew Bledsoe and then Pickett comes in and just goes full Frank Reich against the Bills.
Well, and don't forget, TJ Watt is Dunzo, I'm pretty sure, for like the rest of the playoffs.
Okay.
He's got like an MCL sprain or some shit.
Did I see something about Big Brother like offered to play for the Steelers? Was that like a joking thing or okay?
Yeah. It was just a picture of him in his brother's Steeler uni, and he was like, "You think the rest would notice?"
Well, and once the Bills started mixing Murray in more and using more of a power running game and letting him line up straight in the backfield and put Josh Allen under center and hand it off to Murray and let him just blow forward and move the line a few times. Like whenever they moved from Cook being the out of the gate starter to Murray being the starter, and then Cook coming in, even though Cook is getting more carries and more yards and he's still the lead back, they're setting the tone with Murray as we're going to be more of a power run type of a game and dictate the pace that way. When they started doing that, which was when Brady took over as the OC, like when they started doing that, it really kind of changed the dynamic of that offense. It made them more deliberate in like, we're going to play Buffalo style of game. And I think that really changed their season. Like that was when it came together. So yeah, I don't think the Steelers have a snowball's chance in hell. The second game of the day will be Green Bay going to Dallas. This one is Dallas is favored by 7. It's the second largest spread of the week. Green Bay should just be in a, hey, we're just happy to be here position and not try to overachieve and fuck up their draft spot anymore than they already have.
How cool would it be if the Packers go into Jerry World and win it? Get you that D tackle.
That's going to be my pick. They're going to go down there and they're going to fuck up and win.
It would just be so cool. Just so
because
cool.
McCarthy, much like D'Amico Ryans, McCarthy's getting a phone call right now going, hey, we really appreciate what you've done, but we're losing Dan Quinn to the Seahawks, and you've given us multiple 12-win seasons, but the big fat guy in New England is now available, and we're kind of going to just go that route. So thank you for your services, but how about them Cowboys? And the Packers are going to come in and just catch a fucking Cowboys team that's slipping, and they're going to fuck up and win that game, Justin. You watch.
And I will smile and say, yay, we won another one.
That vaunted Cowboys defense all year is just going to be a nice purring little kitten in the corner because Dan Quinn is already thinking of Legion of Boom glory days up there in the fucking Space Needle. And yeah, they're gonna sleepwalk right past your ass into the offseason while you have to go to the next round. And I hate it for you, but it's gonna be the funniest thing all weekend. I'm telling you.
Yeah, picking the Packers would be the funny pick here.
Mm-hmm.
God, that would be so funny. But I think Dallas wins this one. But I got to root for comedy. So, I'm going to go Cowboys.
Especially if McCarthy loses to the Packers. I mean, there's
That would be so
funny
poetic.
things with the Packers winning.
Yeah.
Yes.
There is absolutely no reason the Packers should win this game, but they're also getting some. They got Alexander, their corner back last week, and he's like a legit number one lockdown corner that could match up well with CeeDee Lamb. That defense has finally started. The defense has finally started figuring out how to stop people from running the ball and actually like step up and play. They run a lot of stunts. They run a lot of the front six, front seven on that defense looks really good. Fucking A. We're gonna lose. We're gonna pick number like 19. We're gonna lose.
I think I can.
I'm gonna be sitting here next week going, well, we're moving on to the next round. But come on, Dallas, like don't let me down.
Week 20.
Jungle Love is gonna get you. Jungle Love's gonna get you there, baby. I'm telling you.
Week 20 of the season, and we're still here.
Groundhog Day again.
I wasn't even supposed to come into work today.
My guess would be Dallas also. I think it'll be fun to watch though. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. But
yeah, I mean, again, the Packers Cowboys, that takes me back to like '94.
Yeah,
when football was fucking awesome. So I just hope it's good.
I hope it's good too. Our last game of Sunday will be the Rams heading to Detroit.
Again, these fucking scriptwriters, man, they're doing a whole lot of callbacks. Like Stafford goes back to Detroit.
And Stafford is
Goff
healthy.
faces against his old team.
Stafford is healthy and has looked good.
Stafford's always one of those cats that I've always rooted for. I'm not a big Bulldogs fan. If I had to pick a Georgia team, I'd go Yellow Jackets just because of my dad, whatever, anything. But like, I've always liked watching Stafford play, and I always felt bad for him, playing for the Lions.
Yeah, being a Packers fan, like it was always hard to cheer against Stafford because he seemed like a good dude. He always had good numbers. Like that organization failed him year in and year out. And
they failed him so bad that one of the maybe generational talents of all time at wide receiver retired early.
Right. Like, it was hard. It was hard watching him have to take those losses on that team the way he did. Like as a fan of a rival, you hate to see a dude who's legitimately like, I don't think Justin Fields is worth a fuck. And I just love to watch the Bears be bad. But Matt Stafford was legitimately a good quarterback, and they just fucked him over for 80% of his career. And that sucked. Even as a bitter rival, that sucked to watch happen.
Well,
So
he almost became like the new David Carr.
Yeah, to an extent. So like to see him have success in LA and then to come back this year after having been hurt and get healthy and carry that team into the playoffs in one of the toughest divisions in football. It's a pretty nice thing to see. I do think that the Lions are better than the Rams, and with it being in Detroit, I think that's a big bonus for the Lions. So I do think the Lions will win, but it wouldn't hurt my feelings to see the Rams win.
Jim, do you know the Vegas odds on the Browns and Lions meeting in the Super Bowl?
No.
All right, I didn't know if I know you like pay attention to stuff like that. I didn't know if you had seen something.
No. The only way that I would be aware of that is if it was something outrageous enough to where somebody else discussed it. Like I don't bet, so I don't follow the lines. But if somebody had mentioned it to me, I'm such an autistic, asshat that I would have recalled it. But I haven't heard anything about it yet. But like going back to the Lions, I guess not so secretly, I'm also a fan of the Lions. Like Matt Stafford going there and playing there, coming from Georgia, kind of by default made me pull for the Lions for so long. And my parents lived in Detroit for a decade, and so while they were up there, it was nice to have another team to kind of pay attention to and root for. And growing up, seeing them every Thanksgiving, it's like, yeah, all right, they're a safe team to pull for. They're never going to break my heart because there's never any expectations. And I have no connection with, or have I ever liked the Rams, even when Todd Gurley was on the Rams, who was, an all-time great Georgia Bulldog, except for the 5 running backs immediately after him that were just as good. Todd Gurley's fine, whatever. But the Rams, I don't know. They're LA, they're whatever.
Yeah.
I love Stafford, always will. But after he won the Super Bowl, I wanted him to retire. Go out on top, let the next generation take over. You're old as fuck. I mean, I get it. You play with a separated shoulder in Detroit, legacy, and that's why everybody will always, have good things to say about you. But no, I'm pulling for Detroit. I want Detroit to win this game. For them not to have a playoff game in 30 to 31 years. Yeah, get the fuck out of the way, the Rams. But the bad thing is the Rams are playing better ball. They have a Super Bowl winning head coach and quarterback. They're hot when you need to be at the right time, and Detroit has shown a lot of times where they just don't show up. Golf throws 3 picks at home for no fucking reason, and I just got a feeling that the Lions are going to lion, and that the Rams are going to end up winning this fucking game. It's not what I want, but I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, the spread on it's only like 3. Yeah, I want to root for the Lions too. Just because they're like one of those old teams that, like, they won championships back in the day, but then the Super Bowl started.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I like Stafford, but
they're like the Browns in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Even though I think this whole state of Ohio could just like fall off into Lake Michigan and I'll be happy. But yeah, I'm going to take the Lions here, and just for shits and giggles, I was looking up the greatest Lions players of all time. I did not know this is a callback to the white corners. I did not know that Dick LeBeau was a white cornerback for the Lions back in the day. That famous defensive mastermind.
Yeah, I did not know that either.
Well, now our autistic memories will never forget. Who you got?
I really don't know. I mean,
well, thank you for that. Okay.
These teams are just. I guess I kind of want to pick Lions, but I mean that's the safe bet, I guess. But who knows? I have no reasoning for that, by the way.
Dude, he's perfect for the show.
I mean,
don't worry. I think the last time I was on the show,
Justin can vouch that, I'm I used to watch a lot of football, but I'm not football knowledgeable.
The fun thing about this year in the NFL is you don't have to have watched anything for the last 5 years. This year has been a complete anomaly. Like it's nothing. Yeah. Nothing that happened before, and probably nothing that happens after will have any impact. Like this year it's kind of a bubble. Like there's been a lot of anomalous, we've talked about it on Alan's Discord off and on throughout the season. Like just the mediocrity that has been all of the NFL this year. Like usually you have those really good teams. You have those ones that really really set themselves above the rest. And this year, like even aside from the Ravens, like even the Niners have looked pedestrian at times. Like it's hard to look at any team in the NFL this year and just be like, yep, that's it. Those are the dudes. Like they are going to run this whole thing. Like I said, maybe the Ravens, but
I mean, 2 weeks ago I would have said Lions for sure, but
Yeah.
Hold
this
us up.
year,
I'm sorry, Lo.
something 2 weeks old is like, ancient history.
yeah.
It just seems like.
This is literally the NFL this year.
For a disaster of biblical proportions.
Biblical.
What he means is Old Testament, Mr. Mayor. Real wrath of God type stuff.
Exactly.
Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Enough! I get the.
Tunnels under synagogues. I mean, you name it. They're calling out of the sewers.
All right.
I got to go, guys. Thanks for letting me
joining us.
join you for a brief second.
Take it easy, buddy.
We're gonna wrap up.
Yeah,
We're gonna
man.
wrap up the last pick of the week. Being a Saints fan, I know who Lyle would pick for this game anyway. We've got Eagles, Buccaneers, and I mean they play the games for a reason, but do they need
Like the Packers Cowboys, the Buccaneers are going to fuck around and win this game. They have no business doing it. The Eagles are far superior talent-wise, depth-wise, coaching-wise,
But the brotherly shove.
quarterback, all that. But they're going to win it because Jalen Hurts can't throw a football anymore because his fingers fucking broke or whatever.
Ooh.
He hasn't thrown all week.
Ooh,
The Eagles.
I got
Yeah,
I got a stat line for you. All right,
Okay.
which of the quarterbacks in this game, which one do you think threw for over 4,000 yards, had 28 touchdowns, and only 10 interceptions?
There's no way that's Baker.
You got to be shitting me, really?
Baker had 4,044 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 10 picks, while Jalen Hurts had 3,858 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 15 picks on the season.
Numbers check
Yeah, the
out.
Buccaneers are going to win this fucking game. Oh my god. Well, because think about it. At the beginning of the year, the Eagles defense was set up to be one of the most dominant. Just a pick up from right where they left off last year, but even better this year. And then their secondary got banged up. They immediately collapsed. They can't cover anybody. Keely Ringo's looking like the stiff waist, corner that he was in college, but now he's getting exposed for it. And their offense, AJ Brown's banged up. Jalen Hurts can't even take a snap. They can't field a legitimate team of any threat level. Their other wide receiver from Alabama, Devontae Smith, he's injured. They don't have playmakers. They got DeAndre Swift, Dallas Goedert, who's been permanently coming back from a fucking injury. They have Amadeus Zacharias or whatever, who used to be a Falcon. That's their wide receiver
What
4.
kind of name is that?
Look it up.
All right.
I'm telling you.
Amadeus.
Alameda Zacharias or some shit. He was a Falcon and he was outstanding for us, but he was wide receiver 3 or 4 if you count the tight end as wide receiver 3, which I do in the Eagles offense, as their lead recipient for targets in this upcoming week by a quarterback who can't throw the ball. So and the Eagles backup quarterback is Marcus fucking Mariota. He's likely going to have meaningful snaps in this game. The Buccaneers are going to fuck around and end up winning this fucking game. Telling you. Give me the Bucks. NFC South will rise again.
You don't think we're going to get some of that early Titans energy out of Mariota?
No, you're gonna get whatever he left the Falcons with, which was
Yeah.
a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, I think Tampa takes this. That was interesting. I didn't know about all those details. Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And the Eagles were my Super Bowl pick from the NFC at the beginning of the year, and they're not even going to make it out of the first round against the lowly Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
While I really want to pick the total collapse of the Eagles, that Buccaneers game versus the Panthers last week was fucking embarrassing. There's no way I can pick them to win this game. I'm going with the Eagles.
See, but that was a slide. They were holding their deck close to their chest because they knew they didn't have to do anything but kick field goals to beat the Panthers. Why stretch your guys down the field and get them injured like Philly did, knowing that all you got to do is literally kick one fucking field goal and you're in the playoffs?
See, when we were watching the Dolphins Bills game last week, I don't know if Jay was on early enough for my pregame prediction. I said if the Bills were smart, what they would do last week, because if they lost to the Dolphins, they would have turned around and played the Dolphins again this week. I said if the Bills were smart, what they would have done is just not show up. Just roll in, play your starters for the first series, and then say, fuck it. Let the game go. Rest everybody. Like, play enough of your defense to force the Dolphins to keep it honest and keep playing. Make them wear themselves out and let all of your main players rest, and then turn around and come back this week after having basically a bye week and just beat the ever-loving fucking brakes off of them. That's what I had said I would do if I was the Bills. So, and then the Bills fucked around and won the game. And I mean, I guess it worked out in their favor because then they get effectively a bye week this week with the Steelers. But yeah,
they should have played their backups in Miami, had them play dirty, twisting ankles, poking eyes, getting the Dolphins all banged up for this upcoming week, and then just stayed in Miami, posted on Instagram nothing but pictures of them, sunning on the beach, being like, "We're still here, motherfucker." Yeah, that would have been. See, I'm telling you, teams need to go for the funny, but it's a league full of bitches these days.
Right, be as evil as possible. All right, play the villain card. Embrace it. All right, speaking of playing the villain card, if you were not a fan of their teams, they were definitely the villains for the better part of a decade. Bill Belichick and Nick Saban are both out. Who takes those jobs?
Hoorah. Thank God. Thank you, Jesus.
Man,
I'll put it. Well, one is. Another one is still going to limp around, asking people when is snack time.
You have to pour water on that one. The other one got hit by a house.
But no, I was just driving around out of town, and I got the notification on my phone that Nick Saban's retiring, and I almost caused an intrastate incident on an interstate outside of Nashville. But thank God, Nick Saban. That came out of the blue for me. I thought, like I said at the beginning, I thought he had another 2 to 3 years in him. So this caught me off guard, but there's no way in hell he did not pave the runway for Alabama months ago, letting them know that, hey, it's on the table that this is going to be my last year, regardless of the outcome. And so they come out with a list, just people on TV, and there's been a lot of bad reporting. Oh, Dan Lanning is in Tuscaloosa. He was never in Tuscaloosa. He never went there. Not this week, last month, 6 months ago. He was never considered for the job, but he was the number one candidate. Everybody was saying it. Oh, it's Dan Lanning's to lose. No, it wasn't. So you take him off the list. I think you're looking at Lane Kiffin, in my opinion, as the number one. Mike Norvell in Florida State, and there's a reason why there's a chance he might take it. That just broke today before we came on. DeMeco Ryans, head coach of the Texans, because he played at Alabama. He's an All-American at Alabama. He's loved and revered there. He's got coaching experience, obviously. Taking an NFL head coach is a lot better than taking an unproven college coach. Who else? Sark at Texas. He's not leaving Texas for Alabama.
He's not leaving. He's the man right now. They in like some of the Longhorns fan circles, little groups I'm in. They're like, oh, well, we got to worry about Sark, and he's not leaving anywhere anytime soon.
No. What are you going to get at Alabama that you couldn't get if it's not already there at Texas? There's nothing.
Right. And now they're going to be going into the SEC and it's just more.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And not only that, nobody, or I won't say nobody because there are megalomaniacal, personalities in football and head coaching positions, but who in their right mind would follow Nick Saban, knowing that he's still going to have an office in that building? He's still going to be involved in, football operations. He's retiring, but he ain't leaving. Like, who the fuck would want that over your shoulder and constantly being compared to the GOAT? I think you got to be out of your fucking mind. I wouldn't be surprised if this Alabama. Now they said we have a 72-hour time period where we're going to go find our next coach, which would be Saturday, them announcing the new coach. I don't think it's going to go super weird like the Tennessee thing where like coach after coach after coach is saying no for 6 weeks.
Jim, hear me out. Face turn.
I'm for it. Let him in there. let that low down, no good rapscallion in Tuscaloosa. I would applaud it.
I would love it. Or I would even love Lane Kiffin going there and just blowing it.
Here's the thing. The one person I did not want to take it out of sheer self-preservation was Dan Lanning. He's the only coaching candidate that actually not terrifies me, but concerns me. He's younger than Kirby. He's got as much, if not more energy than Kirby. He's got more to prove. He's a hell of a defensive mind. He's a hell of a recruiter.
He's got 0 motorcycle accidents.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a sweet tattoo on his side of his wife's cleavage. I mean, the dude's a fucking alpha. And he's going to be fine in the Big Ten. He's going to be the best team in the Big Ten, if not next year, the year after. He was the one guy I did not want anywhere near Tuscaloosa. And so all week I've been talking about he ain't going. In the back of my head, I'm like, he fucking better not. I would be pissed. And because I don't want him to go is why Alabama should have wanted him more than anybody else. But Lanning's not dumb. He knows that he's got Phil Knight out there writing him blank checks for anything he wants. And thank God he's too young to know what he just turned down. So I think it's going to be Lane Kiffin. My buddy who's a lifelong Bama fan wants Lane Kiffin. Why, I don't know. But to be a perpetual 10, 11 win team and not win a natty, if that's what they want, Kiffin's the man for it. Here's the thing. Kiffin is still very not Alabama. He's still the antithesis to Saban. He tweets, he trolls, he jokes around too damn much. Like Bama is not, I don't know if Bama would want Kiffin. I want Bama to have Kiffin, but I don't know if Bama would want Kiffin. The internet side of me wants Kiffin so badly to be their coach. But it's the same thing with like Dabo. I don't know if Alabama wants Kiffin because I know Alabama doesn't want Dabo. But I think they might be stuck with Kiffin because they're going to get no's from Sark, D'Amico. They already got it from Lanning. Mike Norvell is another interesting one, the head coach of Florida State, because just today before we came on the internet, Florida State is getting hit with NCAA
violations.
Violations, yeah. Where
maybe that has something to do with like all the guys bailing in the transfer portal.
Well, they're getting hit with sanctions because they meddled with one of Georgia's players, Amarius Mims. When I don't know if it was when we were recruiting him or the year that he went into the transfer portal and then turned around and said, nope, fuck that, I'm coming back to Georgia. Florida State threw a shitload of money at him, tampered with our recruitment of him, and that's what they're getting penalized for. So they fucked around with Kirby, and now they're getting slammed with NCAA sanctions. Well, while their whole team quit and half their team transferred out, maybe Mike Norvell looks around and is like, the ACC ain't the place for me. But Alabama ain't going to come knocking very often. That's one of those programs where you don't wait 3 to 5 years for your other chance. And Mike Norvell is the perfect guy to come in behind Saban. He has no comparisons to Saban. He's unlike, Kiffin would have immediate expectations put on him. Mike Norvell, 3 years underwhelms. They won't feel anything about firing him. And then they will go after Lanning or Kiffin. I'm not saying it's going to be Norvell, but that explains the path to Norvell getting there. I don't think it's going to be a coordinator. I think it's going to be somebody that's already currently a head coach. And I think it's somebody on that list of 5 guys.
Yeah, I really don't think Bama wants anything to do with Lane Kiffin or Dabo. And outside of that, I really don't know what direction they go.
Well, I was watching Josh Pate, who did a live show leading up to us coming on, and I didn't get to the end of it. So I don't know if anything's been announced. Forte, or either of y'all, can y'all check Twitter to see if there's been any announcements? Because he was hinting at
Josh Pate.
I was watching Josh Pate, and he mentioned that there was reports of an airplane landing at Tuscaloosa and the Black SUV Brigade, and so I'm just wondering if there's initial or just general chatter on Twitter of who might be in Tuscaloosa at the moment. Because I think whoever's in Tuscaloosa now is going to be announced as head coach within the next 36 hours. So we'll see.
I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything new.
Okay.
So we'll see. How about
either way? I will say this real quick to finish the Alabama thing. The Alabama dynasty is officially dead. It's actually been dead for a couple years. 1 natty in 6 years with a big fat COVID mask on it. But now that Saban's officially retired, there's no doubt, there's no question, there's no, no. Alabama dynasty is officially confirmed dead. It's fucking over. And the rest of the college football world, I think that a lot of people have rightfully said, oh, fuck. Kirby is about to butt fuck the entire national college football world. And I would tend to agree. It's not just because I'm a Georgia fan. It's clear that the only thing that was impeding Georgia from just already having 4 natties was Bama, Nick Saban. Nick Saban was the only team that would consistently be that fucking stopgap from Kirby already having a run better than Saban had at this point. So now that he's out of the way.
Well, I'm all right. You're being logical.
Go.
You're being logical. I'm just going to go off emotions here.
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye, Nick Satan.
Okay. Well played. Well timed.
Okay,
but,
so
yeah.
While we're on college, is Harbaugh going to stay in Michigan?
Nope.
And is Brian Kelly out at LSU yet?
Nope. Brian Kelly is not only not out, he has dug his heels in, and he is for sure staying at LSU for a while. He's not, even if Harbaugh leaves, he ain't going to Michigan. I heard that rumor, and to me, I thought it was retarded. I was hoping for it. I thought it would be hilarious. LSU fans would be happy about it. But it's also like, why would you go back to, Michigan, Notre Dame, try to explain the differences to somebody in England. They'd be like, but they're the same. For him to go from Notre Dame, come down to LSU and be like, oh shit, these people talk funny. I'm getting the fuck back to my family, and go right back to Michigan. Like, that's kind of just like lateral move. It never made sense to me. I don't know where that came from, but he completely cleaned house on the defensive side, fired all the coaches, and hired an entirely new defensive staff, which means he's actually trying. And with that buys him at least 2 more years. So Harbaugh ain't sticking around 2 years. Harbaugh ain't sticking around 2 months. He's going to be in the NFL before the draft, which will yet again make what happened this past Monday just wither into obscurity and will be a trivia answer in years to come. Sadly for the Michigan fans, but I think it was just a.
I had kids and took time off from like keeping up with sports. Brian Kelly's at LSU now
for a couple years.
Yeah,
he's been there for 2 years.
I've been like keeping up with sports for the last 2 years. I haven't seen that because I don't give a shit about the Tigers, but
they made it to the SEC championship last year, or I guess now 2 years ago.
I missed that one. Sorry, guys.
It's all good. That's what we're here for.
So that kind of carries us into the NFL. Pete Carroll is, as we talked about earlier, no longer the head coach for the Seahawks. There's also some other vacancies. The one that I think is the most likely landing place for Jim Harbaugh is the Chargers. I can't see him going. I can't see him going to Seattle and being under Pete Carroll or whatever that dynamic is going to be, being in direct competition with Pete Carroll in the building. Like whatever the fuck is going to happen in Seattle, I don't think Jim Harbaugh is going to do that. I think he'll go to the Chargers where he can just run things the way he did when he went to San Francisco. Just go in to a bad franchise and be like, all right, this is what I'm going to do, and go do it. And they'll just let him. Like the Chargers are in no position to say no. So that's where I see.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. And the Raiders, they're going through their league mandated. You got to interview 2 black people that aren't currently on the staff before you finally come around and say, yeah, Antonio Pierce is our dude. So I don't expect any breaking news headlines coming out of Vegas. I think that's Antonio Pierce's already. It would be stupid of them to go a different route. He has the entire fan base. Yeah. I mean, he has the entire fan base on his side, rightfully so. He's earned it. He deserves it. If they don't have him as head coach, then Raiders fans should boycott the team for, until the management realizes what a fuck up that would be. Another one is, well, you got the Panthers. Nobody wants that job. And I don't even know if it's worth discussing who candidates for that job, because they will be the last one to get a head coach, or they will get somebody to accept the head coaching position that wouldn't be in contention for any other coaching openings. They're a poverty program at the moment. They're not even worth discussing. But the Redskins are another team that are looking for a head coach. They could easily promote from within and have Eric Bieniemy be their dude. Bieniemy is interviewing with a bunch of other teams, but I could see them making it really easy and just saying, you're already here. We'll give you the keys. I could also see where Belichick, now I had a little fun saying Belichick could come in and be the Cowboys coach, even though the Cowboys haven't fired McCarthy. They're in the playoffs. They're doing great, whatever. I could see Belichick going to the Redskins. They have they got rid of Dan Snyder. They have a new ownership alliance or whatever it's called. They don't want to have to hire a GM and a new coach and rebuild the team. What's the easiest thing to do? Hey, Belichick, we don't need you to take us to the playoffs immediately. We don't need you to have the success that you had in New England. You have no pressure here for 2 to 3 years. You can get your 14 wins, get your all-time winningest. You can beat Don Shula here. You won't get any pushback from us. We'll give you the full trust in your system to rebuild our program, and you can stay the fuck away from Atlanta. And that would be a perfect landing spot for Belichick, in my opinion.
That would be the ultimate fuck you for me if because where I grew up, like half the family's Redskins fans, the other half is Cowboys fans, and then somehow me, my dad, and my uncles are all Dolphins fans. So, like, for Belichick to go to the Redskins and break Shula's record would, be poetic because I have bad luck, especially when watching my teams play. But God, I hope you're wrong.
And he would have a chance to break the hearts of Cowboys fans and Eagles fans and get
No.
retribution against the
I'm
Giants.
talking about me. I'm talking about me. Me. I'm joking.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm talking about additional storylines that come out of it. To make Cowboys fans, Eagles fans, and Giants fans cry and revitalize the Redskin name, I might become a fan of his. If he was able to pull that off, go to
Dude,
Washington,
if he
bring back
settles
the
with the
Redskins,
lawsuit, yeah, exactly. That's where I was going with. Yeah, go ahead.
brings back the Redskins name, destroys the Cowboys, Eagles, and gets retribution against the Giants. If he can pull those four off, I would be a Belichick fan. At the very tail end of his career, I would say, redemption arc, much appreciated. That's what I'm pulling for. He needs to go to
the hero
DC.
we needed, not the one we deserved.
Correct.
Yeah, that's his hero's journey.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Like, I'm praying for that. That's the only outcome for Belichick I want.
But that's the only outcome you want because you don't want him as the Falcons coach. Who is going to be the Falcons coach?
And then at the end of the road is the lowly old Falcons, because the Saints didn't fire their head coach. The Bears even came out and did a press release saying, we like Eberflus. We're keeping him, as a matter of fact, which all Bears fans rejoiced with probably a suck starting of a shotgun. But now the Falcons. Who do we get? Who do we go for? I'm looking at the list of people that we're interviewing half the fucking league. We're interviewing the offensive coordinator of the Ravens, or the defensive coordinator of the Ravens. And I'm like, that's the wrong coordinator. Go after Monken. People in Georgia love him. He's an offensive, brilliant man. He's going to be just like Belichick with the media. He's quite prickly. He's an asshole. He'd be perfect. But we're not even interviewing him. We're interviewing everybody's second cousin that has any affiliation with any team in the league, which to me is ridiculous. I don't know why you're interviewing 13 different people. You should have already had it made up in your mind, the guy you want. And sadly, I think that they've had that guy in mind the entire time, and that is Bill Belichick.
The Falcons didn't have anybody in mind because they were convinced they were going to beat the Saints in Week 18. The Buccaneers were going to lose, and they were going to go to the playoffs, and they were going to keep riding this train. This is all completely new to them. They had no idea that this was going to be where they were at the end of the season.
See, this is where I'll disagree with you, only because I think he was getting fired regardless after the loss to the Panthers. And even Arthur Blank came out with, I think, 5 games left, and they said, as of right now, we are not looking at firing Arthur Smith, barring end of the season collapse, which is exactly what happened. You went on the road and you lost to the Panthers. That's fireable, 1. The next week you go to Chicago and you get blown out by 3 scores to Chicago. That's fireable offense number 2. And then you go and get your doors blown off by the Saints, a rival. I mean, it was over when you lost to the Panthers. The fans had turned. Had we made it to the playoffs, it would be just how the Packers fans are feeling now, just how the Steelers fans are feeling now. There's a lot of we would have felt just like one of those teams that has no business being in the playoffs. I don't even think that would have
the last 20 years. Yep, I'm with you.
Yeah, or the Browns or the Lions. I mean, they're hopeful, but at the same time, I think Lions fans know that deep down it's like, fuck, we're going against Stafford. Son of a bitch. I think the Falcon, knowing Arthur Blank and how much admiration he has for Kraft and Belichick, and they're referenced so often by Arthur Blank as far as being a model NFL franchise, that now that Belichick's available and it's in every Falcons blog, that is the guy they want. He tops the list of interest, candidates that have interest from our head leadership, which I want Arthur Blank gone. I want Rich McKay gone if they hire Belichick. I already want him gone, but if they make this hire, I've said it in the group chat and I fucking mean it. I will have nothing to do with the NFL. I'll play fantasy, but I won't root for the Falcons. I won't watch the Falcons. I will boycott the Falcons until Arthur Blank and Bill Belichick are no longer associated with the Falcons, because I think that's what they're going to go do, and it makes no sense to me. I want nothing to do with it. I want a young coach like a Sean McVay or Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Lions, because you know what he does? He knows to throw it to your tight end, and he knows to throw it downfield to your ace receiver. Two things that the Falcons can't seem to figure out. And Belichick's going to do worse than the Packers and draft in the 6th round our next quarterback and from North Dakota, welding school. And we're going to be no better off. The whole reason why Belichick
does have
has
tight
the
beats,
legacy
though.
he has, obviously he can be up there in the girders and like seriously weld some like super heavy duty fucking rappelling gear for Luda to come down in halftime next year. But the only reason why Belichick has a legacy that he has
Stop
is because of
selling me.
Brady. Belichick isn't the fucking guy. He just fucking isn't. And I'm tired of acting like he is. Fucking infuriates me. I'll have Belichick as my defensive coordinator, but I don't want to be in it. Hey, get the fuck away from my program, dude. So that's it. They're going to end up going with Belichick because it's the safe play, and Arthur Blank loves everything about the Patriots. But I have about 28-3 reasons why I don't want Belichick anywhere near my fucking team. It would be traitorous. It would be traitor. I would see it as treason against the fans, and I would turn my fucking back on him.
Who is
That's
the
my
next?
thought.
Who is the next Patriots coach? Or does it even matter?
Vrabel.
I kind of think so too.
Vrabel's out at Tennessee. He's still
He's set
beloved
up
in
for it, yeah.
Foxborough. He's going to be the guy up there. Now, what does Tennessee do? Who gives a fuck? Nobody cares. They will take the scraps before Carolina's decision. Hell, you know what I could see? Arthur Smith going to Tennessee and being their head coach. Welcoming him back. Or Vrabel goes to New England, brings Arthur Smith up to the Patriots to be his OC again. I could see that.
Yeah.
But Dan Quinn's going to Seattle. To me, that's a done deal. That's
That
they're
seems
just
like
waiting for the playoffs to end.
Yeah, that seems like a complete no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think Vrabel's going to New England, Quinn's going to Seattle, Belichick's likely coming to Atlanta. It'll be the equivalent of the Bijan Robinson draft pick. Yeah, sure, he's got good numbers, but I don't want him on my team.
Just because he's the best guy available doesn't mean he's the right fit for the team.
Thank you. Let him go resurrect the Redskins for the rest of us. But yeah.
What if there is like, and this is like completely out of left field a thought. And it probably has like a snowball's chance in hell of happening, but like complete heel turn. Fully is Belichick going to Alabama. I know it won't happen, but it's a fun thought process to go down. You know what I mean?
My buddy, who's a lifelong Bama fan and an equally long Dolphins fan, when I brought that up to him, he was like, "Don't you utter those words," because he feels the same way about Belichick coming to Bama as I do Belichick coming to the Falcons. I don't want him on my team. He's broken my heart too many times. He needs to go fuck right off.
Hell yeah, brother.
That is the funniest possible thing that he could do, is either go to Washington and bring back the Redskins or go to Bama.
All right.
And make Lane Kiffin have to stay in Oxford. Oh, man. Oh, that would be fantastic.
It's going to be a fun couple weeks. Hopefully we've got some free time. We can do this again next week. Talk about the first round of the playoffs. See how some of these coaching moves shake out, especially since some of them, Alabama in particular, say they're going to be making some decisions by this weekend. So we might have some more shakeups in the coaching world to talk about next week. So I'll be working Tuesday night, so if we're gonna do it next week, it'd have to be Wednesday or Thursday. Actually, no, I don't work Tuesday night, but I already have plans Tuesday night. I'm doing a show with Dag. We're gonna talk about farm and shit.
Well, now that the season is over, there's no Thursday night, there's no Monday night games.
Yeah.
The night of the week, I think, is fluid.
Yep. So we'll figure it out. Do something next week. Y'all got any closing thoughts?
Go
Good enough.
Dogs.
Splash 'em fins.
Yep. Everybody enjoy some first round playoff games this weekend, and we'll see if any of our predictions come true. I hope y'all's predictions about the Packers don't come true. Fingers crossed.
I'm rooting for you, bro.
Yeah. Later. See y'all.
Peace.